in Houston, it was always like, oh, there's a women's team, like cool. Like and here it was like, wow, the Current, like they're all around us, and like there's signage everywhere about us. Like people are wearing our team gear. It's really cool to see that people really rally around the team and like support us.
What is happening, everybody? Surprise. Happy Friday or Saturday episode, wherever you're listening to. Maybe you're on your way to see PKC Stadium and you're like, what? Nichelle Prince interview episode just dropped? Yes, it did. I'm Daniel here with Chris, and we're also here with KC Current forward, Nichelle Prince. Nichelle, how are you? Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you for having me on. I'm great. Tomorrow's our first game, so yeah, I'm excited to be on and to chat about the game a little bit.
All the feels probably, right? Off season was probably too long, itching to get back to it after a sad defeat in the semifinals last year.
Exactly. Yeah, we're motivated. We're ready to be back. It's like a lot of excitement. This past week has been really fun, just at our trainings and yeah, just getting ready for a new season. It's been it's like you said, it's been a long off season. So
Totally. I know the fans are itching to get back out there too, and weather being what it is, should be just a great time.
Yep.
So let's go. Let's just start all the way back as a wee little Canadian child. Like, how'd you get into soccer? What's your earliest memory of stepping onto a pitch?
Yeah, I remember my first time on the pitch. I was 4, and my older sister played. She's a couple years older than me, and my parents thought it was time I started to get involved with stuff and get active. And I remember my mom driving me to my first game, and the first time she took me, I cried the entire way there because I was like a very shy, quiet child, like kind of the same now. Like I'm a quiet personality, but I was like very shy, like was afraid to be around other kids. And I remember being like, I don't want to go. My mom was like, just go to one game. If you hate it, you never have to go again. And obviously I've been doing it now for 26 years. So yeah, I loved it. Like I just remember just feeling so much like myself. Like I remember like scoring like 4 goals. Like there was kids like picking daisies, and I was like running around and having the best time. So yeah, I've loved it ever since.
Picking daisies, and you're like, later, dorks.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were always a striker for as long as you can remember.
Always, which is like actually crazy because I feel like every single player or most players, they say that they've been like 3 other positions. I've luckily enough only really been a forward from my career. So yeah, lucky me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the Canadian national team? Because you started pretty young, right?
Yeah, I kind of worked my way up the system. The first time I had the Canadian crest on me was when I was 15 for a U15 camp. But yeah, I kind of actually it's kind of late to start in like the program. Like if you're thinking about like as a kid going up the ranks, like that really starts when you're like 12, 13. And I actually ran track. My dad was my coach, and he didn't really want me to get like to specify in one sport so early, and so he was always like, no, like she's not going to go to like the provincial program or like the regional camps. Like we're just going to play club, and she's going to run track, and like at one age she'll be able to, when she's older, she'll be able to choose like what sport she really wants to get into. And he was Jamaican, so he loved track, and I think he was hoping I would pick track. But yeah, once I got to 14, 15, I got scouted by a coach who was like, we just want her to come into this one camp, and like, if you think it's too much or she doesn't like it, like it's fine. And I went to that camp. I just loved it. And it was the same year that the Canadian team won their bronze medal at the Olympics, the first medal they ever had. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to play on the national team and, go to Olympics, go to World Cups. And yeah, kind of have been in the system since then. So.
It shows how important that is to you. I mean, I think last year when the Olympics were going on, and I think KC Current was holding you out of the lineup. I mean, you could tell that they cared about your Olympic journey just as much as you did. Does that seem fair to say?
Oh, for sure. I think like any anyone who's like involved in soccer understands like how huge the international level is, and playing for a World Cup, that's what every player dreams of. Playing like for an Olympics, that's like what every player wants to do in their life. And so Case the Current was always very supportive, and I started last season with an injury, unfortunately, and I was working to get back to get involved with the Current in the NWSL season, and unfortunately the timing didn't work out. And so they were like, okay, well, now focus on Olympics. You got to get there. Like if you do whatever you have to do to get to Paris and to represent your country. And so they've been a great support with me and my national team career for sure.
Injuries are something else. I remember all last year when everyone kept scoring on the team. I was like, we're going to break this single season goal scorer record. And we kept saying like, it's going to be more because Nichelle Prince is just waiting in the wings. Like she's going to come get one or two. Right. So it's great. And feeling healthy this year. Everything's feeling good.
Yeah. I'm really happy about that. I think just when you're able to come in healthy and like, that's one thing you don't have to worry about. You just can focus on the game. Like you just have a deeper appreciation. And last year, this time I was like getting ready to sit in the stands, unfortunately, and watch the team. And I was so excited because there was so much energy around the first game, the first stadium. But it's even more exciting to be able to be healthy for the first game and be able to be on the field.
Yeah, just to be another option out there. Absolutely. Talk about your Ohio State recruitment a little bit. Did you have other options, other schools you were considering, or what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long since I went through that process. So honestly, I can't remember exactly. I remember going to a visit at WVU, which like a lot of Canadians actually went there. I remember Florida State was another one that I was looking at. And I remember it's so funny because when you're young, you really just don't think about everything. But I remember being like, I don't want to go to Florida because it's so hot. Like I don't know if I can play in heat. I ended up playing 7 seasons in Houston. But I remember going to Ohio State on the visit and loving everything about it. I loved how huge the campus was. There's 60,000 undergraduates at that school. I loved how like important sport was, how big the football program was. And then also like my coach was always so supportive of the fact that I wanted to be on the national team. That was one of the first things she asked me was, what's your goals for, your career? And I said, I want to play in the national team. That's my biggest goal. And she was like, hey, we're going to get you there. And I got my first senior camp when I was at Ohio State. So I loved everything about it. And I think also Ohio State is such a big school. And so you can like kind of figure yourself out outside of an athlete. And I think like growing up, I was always just an athlete. So it was cool to go to a big school where there was so much opportunity.
Yeah. You mentioned that you were with Houston, like what, 6 or 7 years? You're, majority of your career there. But what was your initial reaction when you were traded to Kansas City?
Yeah, I was in shock. I have a husband and we had a home in Houston. And so my initial thought was, oh gosh, like a little bit of panic of, oh gosh, like preseason starts in a week and now I'm like, moving across the country and like going to a new city, a place I don't know. But as soon as I talked to Vlatko and like his plans for the team, and once I got to KC, I was really just very excited about, the next step of my career. I knew that, I loved the Dash. I appreciate everything that I was able to learn there and gain from being there. But I knew at some point that I wanted to experience something different. And I think sometimes you kind of need that push. And so I think that was kind of the universe and God's way of being like, okay, like this is your next chapter. This is where you're going to be. And so I was very grateful for another opportunity to be somewhere where, the club wanted me to be there and they were excited to have me. So, yeah.
Now it sounds like that trade, did it come out of nowhere? But it was before like trades had to be cleared with players?
It was, exactly. So that just changed with the trade rule in the fall. And so, I kind of got one of the last, exactly. One of the last trades that kind of happened where like you don't exactly know like that's coming. So, it was something that kind of I found out about like the day it happened. So, but that's kind of how sport goes. I have no like hard feelings about that. I know that it's a business and that's just how it works. And I feel very lucky because I actually am a player that was at one spot for 7 seasons, which is not very normal. Like a lot of people get moved way earlier than that. So which is my time.
Good point. I mean, what a shakeup. Now you're at a place where you could actually add some long sleeves to your wardrobe. You know.
Exactly. I know. I threw them all out after I left Ohio State, so I had to go get more. But
Uh, what are some major differences you've noticed though, besides weather, of course, like between playing for the Dash and KC, whether it's atmosphere or training grounds? Any major differences that you can point out?
there's a lot of differences. I mean, I think with the current, which is what is so special, is that it's just the current. We're not partnered with another team, not partnered with another men's side. Like I think the main like goal and vision for the leaders, the owners, the president, all the people who are in charge in the front office, their focus is on us as players. And so as us as players and in this organization itself. And so I think that is really special because we get the resources that we need, whether that's training, whether that's staffing, a stadium that's just for us where we don't have to compete with other teams or other events. The best health care that's given to us. Like it's honestly like the little things that you kind of have to fight for are things that, are just expected here. And so it allows you to show up to work every day and just focus on being a good soccer player, focus on being a good teammate, and working to get better and stronger and all that, and not the little things that you kind of have to do in other organizations, unfortunately, because, every organization is growing, but it's just not there yet. And I think it's really cool that the current is setting that standard and really trying to, provide what we need as players. Just to add on to that, I also just thought it was really cool coming here and everyone knew who the current was. Like, I think like when in Houston, it was always like, oh, there's a women's team, like cool, like. And here it was like, wow, the current, like they're all around us, and like there's signage everywhere about us. Like people are wearing our team gear. It's like it's really cool to see that people really rally around the team and like support us. So yeah.
Oh yeah, the gear's been top notch. I mean, and now the first teal jersey. I mean, excited to see it on the pitch.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of on that note, with the NWSL documentary on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it.
Yeah, no.
But Meredith Speck mentioned that she hates Kansas City, partially due to us having our own stadium, the atmosphere, training facility. Is that like, with all that being said, do you embrace the villain role with other players, like hating Kansas City but mostly jealous at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that means we're doing our job. I think like we want people to hate playing us and hate coming here. But it's also like such a privilege because, there only is 26, 28 players here, and you get to be chosen to be one of the players on this team and to represent the city and this organization. So I feel a lot of pride in that. Then I'm a part of a team that's making history and is like doing things that other organizations haven't done in the world, really. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, I think that's the standard, is that we don't want to make it fun to like, obviously the atmosphere is fun when you come play here, but like we want it to be fun for us. Everything's to struggle a little bit. So yeah, we're doing our job, I guess.
For sure. You mentioned making history. Last year was a season of history making moments. I mean, it would take, I don't even know, it would take how long to put them all together on all the records that were broken and whatnot. Sum up last season and what it meant to you. I mean, I know everyone wants more playing time and whatnot, but you spent all season, a full season with these women and this staff, and didn't get what you wanted in the end result. But what did last season mean to you?
Honestly, it was everything for me in terms of like just as a soccer player and as a human. I don't know if you saw Rocky Rodriguez. She said this in an interview. I'm going to steal it from her. But like it truly allowed me to like find the love of the game again, because it was just fun. Like it's fun being out on the field with players that are fighting for the same goal and like have that same standard, and like we respect each other so much. Like we have so much fun off the field, but we respect each other on the field as well. And so that means like calling out things. That means like bringing your best every single training, every single game. Like that's the standard. And so that's fun. Like it might seem like stressful and hard, but it's fun when like you're all are on that same page and you can feel yourself getting better. And I think for me, like, yeah, I needed that challenge in my career and that push. And, like you said, everyone wants playing time and all that, but like when you're competing against the best, when you have someone like Temma Chewinga, you're like, okay, well, I gotta be up on that level, and I gotta like keep pushing myself to stay at that standard. And so yeah, it's been a fun season, and I hope this season is the same.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story. Like Bryan Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Bryan Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I mean, yeah, you're right. We joke all the time on this podcast about how you damn near have another starting 11 on the bench. It's not every team has that luxury. The old college basketball teams back in the day just changing out 5 and 5. But you got someone like Chewinga. Iron sharpens iron in practice. I mean, you want to get better, you go against the best. And there's no one like her that freaking golden boot last season. All that being said, last year's done. I mean, you can only reflect on that so much. Sounds like you guys had a pretty successful preseason. What's the main focus? What's Flotco harping on you guys this year? What's the main goals for the team this year, and what's maybe some personal goals for you?
Yeah, I think the nice thing about it being the second year now with Flacco, the second year we're together kind of as a team. We see where our weaknesses are. I think as you reflect back last year, you see like how, like you said, there's so many records broken. There's so many amazing things that we accomplished, but we also could see, where those gaps were that we need to be filled. And so I think in this preseason, every single detail, like Flacco's a detail-oriented person. So like every small detail, we were joking about it, is that he says like, you need to be on this blade of grass. We're like, really, this blade of grass? But like, that's truly how like it is. And that's the difference between winning and losing in this league. Every team is, coming and bringing their best game every single game. So you truly have to be on your best game every game. And so, yeah, we're going into this season. One game at a time. We know that it's the first game tomorrow. So we start strong and we keep building on that game after game after game. And I think if we continue to have that mindset, we'll be where we need to be at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Chewinga and some other attackers. This team is obviously loaded with attacking talent. How do you approach such a high level of competition for the same position, for the same playing time?
I think it's surely like, I want every single player in my position to be doing the best because it brings the best out of me. And I know that if I'm on that field, I deserve it because of how many amazing players there are beside me. So yeah, I think every day we're competing, like every single day. And I think that on game day brings out the best out of each of us. But yeah, I think the best thing to do, like in that scenario, is I learn from every single player that's around me, and then also try to be a leader and bring my experience and the things that I do well. And so I think it's just knowing that. I think also as a forward, you know that there's always an opportunity like to get on the field, or it's one of the most subbed positions on the field, and so just always being ready for your opportunity whenever that comes and make the best of it.
I mean, yeah, it helps that you're fast as hell out there. I mean, you need a fresh set of legs. You get out there, and it shows you ran some track back in the day, right?
It comes in handy. It comes in handy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I lost my freaking spot. You mentioned earlier the Canadian national team we talked a little bit about. Where's your gold medal, and do you wear it all the time?
You know what? Honestly, for the first year, I was bringing it everywhere, but I just said, okay, probably need to put it away for a little bit. But I still actually in my house in Houston. It's funny because people are like, is it like locked up, like in like a box? Or like, no, it's really just like in a closet. And I probably should have a better place for it, but I'm like, no one's gonna take that, right? I don't know. But yeah, I bring it out to like events or some people like ask to see it, but for the most part, it's stuck away.
Oh my gosh, I feel like you should just have it out for photo ops. Like maybe just hang it in your bathroom somewhere. I don't know.
You know, the grocery store, the bank, do whatever you got to do. Just wear it wherever you go. That's what I would do.
Just make people ask questions.
Yeah.
We mentioned a little bit earlier before the pod that you might not want to admit it, but you are a veteran of this league. I mean, it's just wait, are you 30 yet?
I just turned 30 a month ago, so yeah.
Happy belated birthday. 30 years old. Now your bones get to ache. That's beautiful.
I know. It started this morning. I turned 30 actually.
You watch Claire Hutton and just like, you know, the young players and just like shake your head how quickly they recover.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy because I'm in the gym like an hour before training doing activation. Like most of the girls are during like 10, 15 minutes. I'm in there all morning doing activation, making sure I'm warmed up before the warm up. So that's where I'm at. But I do feel it does make me feel good. So I am in a good place physically. But
Oh yeah.
I need to oil up a little earlier than everyone else.
More hip swings than you used to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Leg swings, absolutely. Claire Hutton, no warm up, and we need hours of activation.
Exactly.
What's it like though being on a team with these young gals? I mean, it's you can obviously help them be successful in this league as you have been, and they probably push you as well competitively, right? How's that dynamic been?
Yeah, I think with all the young players on the team, like the amazing thing is that they're willing to learn. Like they could come in and have truly like tried to like learn from the players around them. But like they have been able to just compete and like, you know, step up to that standard that we needed. You know, I think of Claire Hutton and I remember just like her first game last year and being like, you know, knowing that I've seen her all through preseason, but like seeing her in that first game, like, oh yeah, she's good. She's going to be able to handle herself all year and like be able to really take it to the next level. And I mean, you've seen that she was with the US team. So yeah, I think for them, like I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I think a great team, you don't like really base it on age and like, oh, well, I'm older than this player, so like they're gonna learn from me. Like, no, there's things that like the younger players, like things that Michelle Cooper is doing on the field, and I'm like, that was sick. Like that, I want to take that from you. That's like that was a good one. Like so, like I think it's like learning from each other and like having respect for every player, like no matter like what you've done in the past, and like what age you are, and just like building like off of each other.
Yeah, nice. Kind of, you know, looking back at last year, was there any like favorite moment or memory that just sticks out to you, whether you were on the field or just something that you witnessed?
Gosh. Probably two moments. The first game, like again, I was injured, so I was in the stands watching, but the energy in that stadium, it was like and nothing I've ever experienced. Like I've like played all around the world at the Olympics, at the World Cup level, like in big stadiums with lots of people in the stands, and that environment was like nothing else I've ever experienced. Like it was amazing. So that would be one. And also there was 9 goals scored. So my emotions were going like from this to this. Like it was a lot. I was exhausted after and I didn't even play. And then I would say probably our game against North Carolina in the first round of playoffs, just having that home seed game and like you know, like that's a lot of pressure, like being at home and all your fans are there and you know, wanting to do something special for the city. And so that was exciting to get that win and to move on in the playoffs. It was really cool.
Yeah, I think that first game is going to be historical. We have season tickets and we sit together and when those goals just kept coming, I was like, is this how it's going to be this year? Like, Jesus.
Yeah, and I did. Like we were scoring goals. It was crazy. I was like, okay, maybe it was just the first game, like the stadium, like, you know, people are excited. But the energy in that stadium throughout the whole season was amazing. It was great.
Totally. Everyone brings it. Blue Crew brings it.
Yeah.
Teal Man over there just teeing himself every time. Just
Exactly.
it's crazy.
It was great. Yeah.
Coming to the end of stuff here. This is where we kind of hit you with some fun little quick hitters, non-soccer type stuff. And I'll just read them all, Chris, if that's fine with you.
Yeah, go for it.
Nichelle, what's your favorite sport to watch or play besides soccer?
So I would say watch probably tennis.
Oh.
Especially women's tennis, yeah. And yeah, to play pickleball.
Okay, getting into that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a craze. Hey, as we're getting older, pickleball's taking off. Like that is
I don't have to move very much, and I feel still very athletic. So
absolutely. Excluding CPKC Stadium, what is your favorite NWSL stadium to play at?
That's a good one. Portland, definitely. The energy there is amazing. Yeah.
Agreed. They're always bringing it.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing soccer as a career, what would you be doing? What other passions are there?
My dream job would be to be an interior designer. I just love I'm at Home Goods way too much. My husband's like, what else do we need? You have it all. But I just love designing a room, and I have no professional experience or training, but I would love to do that for a living.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to change up the curtain hooks. I get it. What does your free time look like? What kind of hobbies are you getting into when you're not training?
Oh man. I'm starting to read a lot more this year. That's my goal. Less Netflix, more reading. What else? I love cooking. Hopefully getting a dog in the near future. I'm one of the only players on the team now that doesn't have a dog. So I'm feeling left out and hoping I can join the dog parties. Yeah.
Love that. Speaking of cooking, your body's a temple when it comes to sports, but we all have a cheat meal. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Ooh. I love Q39 after a game. A Q39 burnt end sandwich. It's amazing. That's where I'm going.
Okay. Now I got to jump around. You're leading me right into Texas or KC barbecue.
Oh gosh, don't get me in trouble here. I really love Casey's ribs. I would say that is the best thing.
Okay. Fair enough. Very diplomatic of you. No worries.
Good answer.
Take
Good
it.
answer.
What's the most, this is kind of back to soccer here. What's the most underrated benefit to having your own training facility and stadium that not enough people really talk about?
I would say just training training time, our schedule is based on what we need as players. And just another thing is recovery, spaces. I remember just in the past having to share that with other teams and other players, and having your own space for that, I would say is really cool. Yeah. I know it sounds so small, but it's those little things that make your day a lot smoother, I would say.
Oh yeah, difference.
Yeah.
Any game day quirks, routines, superstitions?
I used to be way more superstitious when I was younger. And then I would lose a game and I'd be like, okay, maybe it's time. I don't know if this is really working. But I just always need to take a nap. I have pancakes. Yeah, that's my two things really. Nothing crazy.
Okay. Good. We had Ellie Wheeler on, and she puts a shin guard upside down, and I thought that was just the wildest thing.
Oh my gosh, now I'm gonna look for that tomorrow. I didn't notice.
Gotta look.
Okay.
She's not all pink headband. She's got an upside down shin guard.
Interesting. Okay, never.
Yeah. And finally, any nicknames you've been given or that you go by?
Niche is the main one that people call me. Some people call me Prince. But yeah, that's the two really.
Niche. Makes sense.
Yep.
I dig it. Great. Chris, you got anything else, brother?
No, I'm good to go.
Cool.
Great.
Nichelle, that's it. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks. It was fun. Thanks for having me.